Hi, I'm Kristen Bell. Carvana makes car buying easy. Isn't that right, hun? Dax? Dax?
Sorry, did you know about this 7-day money-back guarantee?
A week to evaluate seat comfiness, you say?
A week of terrain tests? Yeah, I can test the brake pad resistance at variable speeds.
Make sure all the kids' stuff fits nicely.
Make sure our stuff fits nicely.
Oh,
Right. Still need to buy the car. Getting ahead of ourselves here.
Buy your car with Carvana today.
Hello and welcome to It's Only a Game. It's been a while. What have we missed? Well, Trent's set to make us burn a bow as his Real deal leaves the champion to let crying a river. Who replaces him? They'll cross that bridge when they come to it. Tommy's start their campaign trail to the States. Can they advance and trump all other nations? The magic of the cup boils down to a story of a palace, a forest, some villains, and a rich kingdom. Beats any other fairy tale story right now. And what goes up must come down. Was Isaac Newton referring to the Premier League when he said that? And can anyone defy gravity next season? I'm Jimmy, and I'm joined by Greg. Hello, Greg. How are you doing?
Hey, Jim. Yes, doing fantastic. Doing great. We've had about 2-3 months off, haven't we? With just a chaotic beginning of the year. I think everything sort of piles up, doesn't it? And then, yes, just great in general. All's good.
I think that's quite an understated way of saying congratulations, you got married the other week. Can we just...
Did.
I know it was on our socials, but I think for those who don't follow us on socials, who don't know, the reason we've had a bit of a podcast absence is, well, life in general, trying to get us all together, but you did get married literally, was it last week before?
Yep.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. I should know I was there.
Yeah.
You were there, funnily enough. Well, obviously. But
I hope I was.
It made things a bit awkward if you weren't. But no, congratulations again. Obviously, yes, congratulations on the night. But that would explain the busy chaos, sort of congested fixture list, if you will, of life.
Absolutely.
This time of the season. So you've really understated that sort of
hectic
period, because you could have just said, I was busy getting married, it's a lot to do, a lot of prep, a lot of this. And I think our loyal listeners would have gone, yeah, Sam, fair enough.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on. It was just, it's like 4 months of prepping everything. And have we got catering? What suit are you wearing? Are we going on a diet? Yes, we are going on a diet. Having things remeasured, because then we've lost weight. And it's just one thing after another. Obviously, stag do. We had the stag do in Manchester. You were there as well, Jim, for that one.
Did have the stag do, of course.
That was very enjoyable. Nice and easy, though, really. It were quite...
Yeah.
I'm getting on a bit, I should say. It was great, though. We ended up bar hopping, flight club. That was good. We had a bit of ping pong and snooker. But nice and manageable. You don't want to be doing these go-kart things and getting full of mud and running in a field with guns and stuff. What's that one? The not paintball, something like that. You don't. There's
paintball. I'm not sure.
Is it paintballing?
Are you referring to paintballing or some army boot camp? I'm not entirely sure where you're going with this now.
I saw all kinds of stuff advertised. I think it's paintballing in the woods full of mud.
Oh, right. I'm going to say, having not looked at stag do events because I'm not getting married, I actually didn't know whether you were referring to paintballing or some serious army boot camp stuff going on. I thought, who's doing that?
Celebrity SOS. We could have done that.
Like the kind of things that players in the early 2000s go on pre-season training. Oh, this manager was hard graft. He got us doing a military boot camp for a week to get us in shape for the Premier League season. Like, yeah, we were on a stag do doing the same thing. Like, what?
It was that and Sambuca, basically. But
Sambuca and boot camp. Sam boot camp. There you go.
There you go. Sam boot camp.
That is a business idea. Get lads trimming in shape for the wedding, but also absolutely rat-arsed at the same time.
Could you imagine?
Imagine us like doing that.
Oh man. You'd be all right. You're quite healthy and fit.
I'd be call you. Yeah, I'd be knackered on the push-ups, but Jason and I just giving it the push-ups and then just like dying our arse because the shots have gone round, and then sorry to name drop Jason on the podcast, but then we'd all be absolutely dying for about 30 seconds. That would have been it was a lovely night. It was very a lovely day, I should say. It was a bit of a daytime event, wasn't it? It was quite relaxed. Going around Flight Club and Roxy's Ballroom in Manchester.
Roxy's Ballroom.
So shout out to Manchester on Saturday night. It was
good.
It was decent. It
nice
wasn't
weather.
as chaotic as I thought. The weather was. You take your chances going outdoors for a few drinks in Manchester in March, but it was a good day for it. It was a very nice day for it. So
it was.
Nice
I ended up. So basically, I met somebody in the centre of Darwin at 11:45 in the. Well, you could call that the morning, couldn't you? And then I got in at 4:20 in the morning. So
I mean that's
I've not done that for a very long time.
That's why I got off about 11:15 because otherwise that kind of I mean I got back to the hotel after your wedding at 1:00 in the morning with your mum and dad, and I was dead for the rest of the weekend. I was knackered.
It catches up to you.
Oh,
the wedding. Let's touch on the wedding, then we'll move on to fixtures.
Yeah, we can tactically analyse the wedding, and then we'll get on to the football.
Post-match analysis of a wedding.
Yeah. Well, how was your positioning?
Fantastic. Yeah. Just went so quick. I was saying this at work today.
Yeah.
Looked at the clock. It was 7:15. Looked again. It was 11:15. I went, oh my God, we got an hour left, and then everyone's leaving.
You weren't asking the vicar how long, vicar, how long.
No, exactly. But yeah, nice and manageable. We had it in a local cricket club. And I was saying this to a few lads, and yourself, obviously, Jem, was saying you don't need to be in these castles and big venues, and you don't need it really. It's almost. Well, this is it. But you just need to. Yeah, you don't need the hassle of. I went to a wedding in January and it cost the fella 26 grand. I was like, I'm not doing that.
Nah,
I mean, each to their own. If you want to do that and you have the money, you can do that. That's fine. Have a good wedding. Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
There's also nothing wrong with just going to a cricket club and getting drunk.
You can make it a special day because the people who were there, regardless of venue. Although, shout out to Cricket Club, the fire alarm went off at one point, and people kept on dancing the Macarena just through the fire alarm. It was quite dystopian.
Interesting.
We were all like, "Where's the exit? Do we need to get out?" Obviously, we had a few people who work in catering with us, kind of going, "Where's the exit?" And we're looking at the dance floor, and people are not just nonplussed; they're just dancing along the Macarena while the fire alarm's going off. I'm like, "That's when this is. Should I be worried?"
That's when you know you're in the north of England when the fire alarm's going off and people are just dancing.
I was like, I feel like we should make our way outside. This is.
Fantastic day.
Yeah,
went too quick. Way too quick. There's nothing we could have done to change how quick it just went. People say that generally. Oh, the day goes quick, and it's like bloody. All these cliches that people tell you, they're bloody true. Let's just end it on that. Where
it's a bit like when you hear it's a bit like when you hear a team's won the league. Savour the moment, savour the day. Drink it all in. Take it all in.
Yeah,
it's
all the cliches. I never used to believe. I believe them all in general life these days. When somebody says time flies, it bloody does.
It does.
Speaking of time flying, we haven't had a podcast for so long, which you've just mentioned. The time is 8:10. We've got a few games that have kicked off already. Mm-hmm. We seem to think that Deck might be at Harrogate away 0-0 with Tranmere Rovers. We think.
He could be.
So that's currently 0-0. Harrogate Town 0, Tranmere 0. Woking, here we could potentially get Rochdale in the FA Trophy in next month. We could get Woking.
Okay.
So that's 0-0, Woking Rochdale. Mm-hmm. So I think the last four of... Yes, that's right. Here we go. Let's have a look at the knockout for the Rochdale against Spennymoor, Aldershot against Woking. So we beat Aldershot 4-0 the other day. And now we're playing Woking tonight, so we'll be fed up of playing some of these teams. But
it's the dress rehearsals. It's if you can't beat Spennymoor, you don't deserve to win the FA Trophy. It's that famous saying, really.
Absolutely.
It's that famous
cliche
adage about the FA Trophy.
Cliche.
You can't beat Spennymoor, who are division below you.
Yeah.
A few other.
They've beat Sutton. Is Sutton still in your division, Tranmere?
No, Sutton are in National League, otherwise they wouldn't be in the FA Trophy. Well, they went down last season. They wouldn't be in the FA Trophy. If they're in League 2, they wouldn't be in the FA Trophy. Mate.
I've completely forgot where Sutton United are, but fair enough. They're way down. Yeah. Bloody hell.
Them and Forest Green went down last year, and Sutton have kind of just done
15th. Wow, the 15th. Wow, that's maybe why.
Kind of found their level a little bit again, having a few years in the Football League. They're not really a Football League size club. They did very well to get in. And a few updates as well, just from the Premier League, if we so care. Arsenal 0, Fulham 0 in the title race that isn't a title race. Wolves 1, West Ham 0 in the relegation battle that isn't a relegation battle, because, come on. And Forest won, Man United nil in the battle for, genuinely, there actually is a battle for Europe there, and United are losing again. So there we go. Anthony Elanga, I'm sure that bodes really, that really, stinks for United fans that Elanga scored against them. But
I've got him on my fantasy football team. There you go, fantasy football. I know Jimmy doesn't play fantasy football, but
I personally no. But
I've got 8 points so far, and Elanga's got me 6. That's something.
Very good. Very good indeed.
Oh, Chris Wood, is he actually playing, Chris Wood? He was a doubt, wasn't he? Let's see. No, he isn't. Is he on the bench? There was a big hoo-ha at work today about him not being on there. Oh, no, he isn't on the bench.
There's a hoo-ha at work about Chris Wood.
Because we're all in a fantasy football league at work.
Oh.
And
I just thought generally, I just was like, okay.
The top 4 in the league would win money in this league.
Right.
So there's 20 of us. If you finish in the top 4, obviously first you get the most, and then it goes down.
Okay.
A lot of people have Chris Wood in their fantasy football team because he's cheap and he gets lots of return for points. I've talked to Femi about fantasy football quite a lot, but that was the big one that was on the dinner time chat. Are we getting rid of Chris Wood or are we not in the fantasy teams? It's like, I'm keeping him.
Yeah.
But hey-ho.
It sounds like there's a lot of money riding on Wood then.
Too much money, you could say, riding on Wood.
Too much riding on Wood.
Costs too much. Expensive.
There's the episode podcast title.
There we go.
Anyway.
So yeah, we've got Wolves. Did you mention Wolves, Jimmy?
Yeah, they're beating West Ham, yeah.
Don't really seem to be hitting the headlines as much, Wolves, these days, of any. Where are they in the league? Oh, they're in the bottom 4.
They're 17th. They're 9 points clear. Well, they're now 12 points clear of the relegation zone, which says a lot about the relegation that isn't a relegation battle.
Well, that's another one, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Wolves have just kind of been good enough to be well clear of the relegation zone without really being particularly great. They got Vita Pereira in charge. It used to be Porto and various other clubs, managers, including somewhere in the Middle East. One of the Saudi clubs, I think. He's come in as the absolute classic interim, this isn't going to work manager, but I think he's done okay. I don't think he's a long-term appointment. But I think quite simply, as I alluded to in the intro, is the 3 promoted clubs are so far off it financially, are so far off it quality-wise, tactically, resources, everything. They are, again, like last season. It's become a bit of an issue with the gap between the Premier League and Championship. Certainly the trend of the last 2 seasons is there's been absolutely, no doubt that the 3 clubs that have gone up come back down again, and it creates this bubble of 17 clubs that seem not immune, because I don't think it's going to be forever, but the last few years have been almost immune from relegation, despite many fears other clubs have had. So Wolves, really, they're in a relegation battle by position, but they're not really. No one is, it's a bit like Everton. It's a bit like, before Palace hit a really good run, they were in a relegation battle in inverted commas, a bit like United, but they weren't really, because no one's picked up enough points in the bottom 3 to even threaten, truthfully.
I didn't know you were that. I didn't know there was that much of a gap, I should say.
It's huge.
Until now. I've just seen, obviously, Ipswich 17, Wolves 29. That's a hell of a jump. So really, it's I know it's inevitable that these 3 go down. Is it a matter of weeks now? Obviously, it's got to be, hasn't it?
It won't be long.
No.
I mean, Southampton are still only on 9 points. As things stand, I still think they won't break. I still don't think they'll.
They are broken already, Jim.
Well, they're well broken. I don't think they will somehow be worse than Derby's record in 07-08. I think they will pick up enough points to beat that.
Rochdale just scored. Nice.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Newsflash. I don't know who. To be confirmed, 26 minutes in, Rochdale are beating Woking away. Sorry to interrupt you there, Jim.
Okay. Utter Woking nonsense. Anyway, moving on.
Absolutely.
Southampton, all they need to do is win a game, and they beat Derby's record of the worst ever Premier League era team of 11 points. So,
wow.
They will win a game at some point, Southampton, I think.
Will they?
Let's
have a look.
We lost them at St Mary's. They can't be that bad. They really are.
Is it Crystal Palace tomorrow?
What they'll do is they'll win at Goodison, the last ever game at Goodison is what they'll do.
Yeah,
we know it. We all know it. We all bloody know it.
Oh gosh, that would be...
They'll be the worst ever team, and they'll do a double over Everton in our last season.
That's some sort of streak versus title or something. I don't know what you want to call
that. They will forever be the last team to win a Goodison and be like, well, that one,
wow.
They were absolutely crap the rest of the season.
Good Lord.
Anyway.
Let's touch on Everton if you want to. Do you want to talk? We haven't really...
We can if you want. There's nothing... Oh, go on. But I'll see what we can muster up.
4 draws on the spin, it looks like. You haven't lost one for a while, Jim. I'm not to say but...
It's our longest unbeaten run since, I think, February 2017 or something. But
wow.
Caveat that, it's 9 games unbeaten in the league, but caveat that with, I think you include the Bournemouth Cup defeat in there, I think that still falls in that run of games. I could be wrong.
Let's have a look.
But I think as well, there are a lot of draws and a lot of late draws. A draw against West Ham at home was very, very late on.
The
draw against Liverpool was very, very late on. So, I mean, you can paint it however you want. More wins are needed.
Yes. See, I get this with Rochdale where we can be Jekyll and Hyde. I've said this for years. We can almost be bipolar in the terms of lose 4-0, then win 4-0, and you think, what?
Well, you got battered at home by Boston United the other day, who, to be fair, have been bloody resurgent. Yes, they've gone from being dead and buried with Ebbsfleet to, they're out the relegation for the first time in 3 years.
Absolutely. I'll tap into that one shortly. That was a hell of a what the hell moment. But at least you're... I know is it the... I remember Femi talking a few months ago about when Sean Dyche hadn't lost against Arsenal. What you drew against Arsenal, Chelsea and City.
Arsenal, Chelsea and City in a row.
But that wasn't the true reflection of what really is going on.
That was the headline.
Yes.
You drew away at Arsenal, drew away at City, drew at home to Chelsea. Fine results in isolation, but it was 3 wins from August to January.
Exactly.
Which was the real numbers. Now, it was we were teetering on the relegation zone at that point, and we couldn't score a goal.
We're not in that territory, are we, in terms of this all being a false reading, or...
How do you mean? What is it, the Moyes thing?
Yes. Lots of draws in a row.
It's difficult because it's a lot of, the odd 2-2, there's 0-0s, and there's 1-1 in there. I think... It's hard to really describe. It's been okay. The football has been an improvement compared to Dyche. It's a lot less sort of lump it up, direct, a bit aimless. It is a bit more structured. There appears to be a lot more pattern to the play and the fact that we're getting results. We beat Spurs, beat Leicester, should have beaten Man United. God knows how they were allowed back into that game, but less of that the better. The fact that we have been getting wins, a ground that'll win at Brighton, which is a fantastic result, shows that there is a bit more there. There are games there that we would have lost under Dyche that we haven't, quite simply, because there was nothing going forward. I know you can say, you rely on your centre-halves, i.e. Tarkowski, O'Brien, to score late equalisers at Goodison against Liverpool and West Ham. But that... Look, I'm not here to criticise Dyche. I think he did a really good job considering the circumstances. The first year and a half he was at the club, the financial situation is well documented on this podcast and everywhere else. We know he was almost operating with 2 hands tied behind his back in terms of what he could do, recruit and deal with, and certainly with all points deductions and charges against us. This season, though, it went a bit too far in the sense that I think he realised for him and for what he's capable of doing, the job became a bit much for him. The talent is there to progress slowly into the new stadium. But the fact that he turned around to the new owners, the Freaking Group, and said, I've taken this team as far as I can, I think, as we said before, it's effectively a resignation.
Yeah.
That to say I've done all I can is you're essentially saying, well, I can do, you're saying I can do no more with this group of players. And the run of form was so poor we were on at the time. We'd lost the Bournemouth in the league. We'd had some really poor defeats. Southampton at St Mary's, and I forget the exact fixtures now in January. But I think Moyes has come in and he's been a lot more optimistic. He's still a pragmatist. It's not swashbuckling. It's not incredible, but he's been a lot more optimistic and he feels a lot more hopeful going forward. That he's somebody as well that obviously, I hate the phrase, he gets the club and he therefore somebody knows the club, they've played the club before, whatever, they get the club, it's that special thing. Doesn't have to be that way, but I think with Moyes he does understand what the club is getting towards and what it wants to be, and knows the size the club can be, especially with everything going on, potentially in the new season, with the new ground, and hopefully the money that comes in there. But it's a slowly situation. We're not going to be, look, I think we will stay up now. I don't think you can, even I'm saying this, which I am the most negative Evertonian going, and there's a fucking good prize for that. Given how poor the three teams are in the bottom three.
Yeah.
But the new season, I think some people say with the new owners and with the new stadium, we're going to have loads to spend and the team's going to be fine. We're going to be kicking on and pushing for top half. And I think we need to be more patient than that going forward. I think we need to just take stock and go, we're not going to be recruiting. The accounts came out the other day. We've still made a loss. It's less of a loss than it was previous year. I haven't got the exact figures to hand. But, the last accounts under Farhad Mashiri's ownership have come out. It's still bad losses. The club's still not going to be able to go out and spend the way that your clubs like your Brightons can, your Fulhams might be able to, and obviously your Newcastles, your Chelseas, your however means by which they meet PSR, which again, there was something about Chelsea today, which is a bit dodgy. It's a long-term process to get it right with the club and get it back to where we believe, we can be and we believe we can belong. But Moyes he's breathed positivity back to the club and a bit of optimism. That's all we can really hope for at the moment.
He certainly looks positive on one spin of it. I know you were not concerned, but there was something, weren't they, in terms of we weren't too sure if that's another cliche of going back to your old club, and not many managers are successful the second time round, and there's a very small pool of ones that are, and if they are in the lower leagues, like we know who that is. But there was something not lingering, but it was there, wasn't it, as a conversation piece that should you ever go back, should you not? So far, it's looking okay. I think so far it's looking fine. As you say, because of the three at the bottom, you've Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton. I think you, as you say, surely you're fine. You would think, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because once you secure that you're fine, that you're staying up, and the other three have gone down, and obviously Wolves and West Ham are obviously down there as well. Can you then play with a bit more, not freedom, but with a bit more, right, we can breathe. Not that you are down there, but it's still something to consider, isn't it? That, all right, we're safe now, lads. Let's not worry about whatever. There's got to be a different way of playing once you know you're safe. I've seen it with Rochdale when we've a different club, different league, but when we're safe, the attitude is different the next few games. Some of them take the brakes off, and some of them are already in holiday mode, but some of them play with a bit more freedom. I don't know if that could be a thing for Everton potentially.
I think they've already been playing with a bit of freedom. I think Moyes has released some of the shackles. I think still the squad is limited, but I think there's a lot more talent there than maybe the way Dyche set us up. There were certain players like Jake O'Brien who weren't able to get in the side, young Irish centre-half who's been coming under Moyes and been fantastic, and you wouldn't think of even dropping him. He's been fantastic. But I think it is a well-known thing that once a team is, they know their fate, shall we say, towards the end of the season, whether it is staying up, whatever, that it is that, like you say, it can either be play with freedom, play with nothing to play for, or it can be, on the beach and they absolutely tank their form. It can go one or two ways, but what I will say with this Everton side is I think there are a chunk of players, I can't name them right now, a chunk of players who are out of contract at the end of the season. They will be wanting to play for either a new contract or a new contract elsewhere. There will be other players, I've no doubt there will be players who will be moving on in the summer, because we still need to sell, I think, to just make sure the books are okay and that things aren't horrendous, that we can buy in the summer and recruit the way we want to do. I think as well, if you're a professional footballer, regardless, you're always playing for that. You're always playing for that professional pride anyway. You know yourself, whenever you've played any sort of sport or whatever you do in your job, you always give it everything regardless. And I don't think you can afford to take your eye off the ball, metaphorically and literally, towards the end of the season, even if we are in a position where we are safe. I think, particularly as well, when you've got, I think the last two home games, we've got a Goodison, Ipswich and Southampton, two clubs that are looking like they're going to go down by some distance. David Moyes will not allow this team to absolutely shit out the last 2 games I've played at Goodison. There's no way he will say to these lads, he will say to them, go and put on a show, give these fans a last couple of games. I mean, the Arsenal City games will be difficult at Goodison, of course. They always have been. But, yeah, you look at the last 2 games we've got at home and you go, put on a show for the fans, give Goodison a fantastic send-off. There's no way anyone worth their salt, worth their salary, would dare just half-arse those fixtures against teams that are very beatable. We've already beaten Ipswich away, of course, and Southampton, well, we know what happened there, but look, they'll be down, you suspect, by then, on the penultimate game week of the season. I really think there could be... It's difficult because, the away games, psychologically, there's some tough ones tomorrow night, being a particularly big one, challenging one, certainly.
Yeah.
But I think I don't think they're going to, go on the beach as such. I think there's a lot of players still to play for professionally and personally, whether it be at the club next season or elsewhere. And the Goodison factor of the fans will not let you put in a shit performance and turn it in towards the end of the season. There's no way.
No,
there's no way the fans would let the ground go like that.
No. There is that as well. Yeah. It should be the prize at the end, and what you are playing for is the last few games at Goodison as well. I've just had another flash on my phone here. Harrogate are 1-0 up, unfortunately. Ellis Taylor scored for Harrogate Town in the 33rd minute.
Right.
We're currently 43 minutes in. So what does that do to the league? Let's have a quick look. Oh, so Carlisle...
Carlisle basically keeps Tranmere about 9 points clear of the bottom 2, but Harrogate are just above them. But put Harrogate 4 points above Rovers now, I think, rather than the 1.
5 as a live table.
Right, okay, 5.
It looks like... So Tranmere have picked up a bit recently. I know we haven't really touched on Tranmere. Really
well.
Look at that for a spread of results. Wow.
I can't say I've been. Obviously, I've been very busy myself. But some fantastic... I mean, away wins at Bradford. That's
big.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's huge.
They're
going for the title. That's remarkable.
I've not really been keeping an eye on League Two. So they actually... Yes, they are. Wow. I knew Port Vale were up there. Port Vale
are up there. Port Vale have kind of been indifferent. Walsall started like HMS Pistol League, and then they lost the lad who was on there at Stoke, Nathan Lowe, and they dropped off a bit. Bradford are up there, Wimbledon are up there, Doncaster are up there. I think like we did on mid-season review, it is just pick any 3 from 7 or 4 from 7 at this point. It could be any number of clubs.
Colchester in 8th.
Colchester. I saw a bit of Colchester on TV on Friday night. They looked awful. Home to Grimsby. Home to Grimsby. They looked awful.
They're usually, historically, in the past, call it 7-6 seasons, they've been near the bottom.
They've been right down there. The Cowleys come in now, and they've done a very good job, the Cowleys.
Yeah, when we were in that
division. They got them right up there, but the other night, Grimsby just had their number the other night and came over 2-1 win. I just caught bits of it. But...
There's a few surprise. I mean, I say I shouldn't really be surprised. It's a free-for-all League Two sometimes. Gillingham are down there, which I wasn't expecting. I thought they might have kicked on.
They always seem to threaten to do something, especially with the new American guy as owner. But have you seen who they've got in manager now?
Ainsworth?
Yeah, Gareth Ainsworth basically jibbed off Shrewsbury to go down to Gillingham. Right, there's a story there. I know we don't give much Shrewsbury or Gillingham content on this podcast, mainly because we don't think we have many Shrewsbury or Gillingham listeners. But essentially, Ainsworth coming at Shrewsbury midway through the season. He got some good results. He beat Birmingham at home, beat Wrexham at home, which is a big derby game in that part of the world. Gave him some optimism at the bottom end of League One, trying to get him out of the relegation zone, but it's kind of tailed off. But Ainsworth, he's the kind of manager, like at Wickham, if you get the players behind them, it's not always the prettiest, but if you got the players on side, they will run through brick walls for him, and he can create an incredible spirit, an incredible journey at a smaller club, like he did with Wickham. Went to a bigger club in QPR, his former club, did the thing with the hacker with the players behind the scenes when he first walked in. I don't know if you've seen that video. It's horrendous.
No.
Go and look it up later. I'm sure people who listen will know. Basically, Gareth Ainsworth, QPR, he gets some Maori guy in to do like some weird hacker.
Yes.
I shouldn't say weird. That's really inappropriate. Some cultural out of context thing.
Yeah.
And the QPR players are obviously all like big time championship players or ex-Prem players going, what's this? Whereas you can get away with that when you've been at Wickham for 5 years, and the Wickham players will buy into everything you want to do. But going back to the Shrewsbury thing, he took over the Shrewsbury job It's the end of the season. There was talk of him getting a 2-year deal. The guy, Roland Wychley, who's in charge of the Shrewsbury. I don't know the guy's name. My apologies, Shrewsbury fans. I don't know. There's talk of there's been a takeover there. So obviously he's come in knowing there's going to be a new owner coming in with money, part of the project. Ainsworth last week, all of a sudden, goes, nah, I'm going down to Gillingham. Obviously, he lives down that way anyway, or he lives down south anyway. John Coleman, who was in charge of Gillingham, obviously you know a bit about John Coleman. He was in like sort of interim charge. He's gone because he wasn't doing a good job. And essentially what's happened is Ainsworth's gone to Gillingham knowing damn well that this Shrewsbury takeover's fallen through. So Shrewsbury have lost their manager, and I think the bottom of League One, lost their manager, and the takeover that was supposed to really propel the club back up the division again is falling through. So look like they're going to go down. The owner doesn't want to be in charge. They've got Michael Appleton in temporary charge, former Blackpool and Charlton manager in temporary charge at the end of the season. And it's a bit of a mess at Shrewsbury at the moment because unless someone comes in and buys the club, who knows, it could be another Carlisle type situation next season where you could be looking at another double relegation potentially.
Wow.
We don't know, but it's devastating when they had a 2-year deal on the table for Ainsworth. He was going to sign it. And I'm led to believe he changed his mind, said, no, I'm taking the Gillingham job. And when he dropped off, I've heard on the EFL podcast on BBC that he literally from the local they had a local journal on there from Shrewsbury. He said he dropped off his keys at the Shrewsbury training ground and didn't say goodbye to the chairman. The chairman never saw him. He's fuming with Ainsworth. Ainsworth's just gone and done a runner and gone to Gillingham, the division below, because there's a project there. There's money there to be spent. There's a chance to get in there now, build in the summer, attack League Two next season as Gillingham manager, where you would probably most likely play against Shrewsbury. So, yeah. So that'll be one to watch next season.
Because Gillingham, I think it was last year, did they have Kenny Jackett as the sport director, football director?
It sounds like something Kenny Jackett in Gillingham would do. He seems to have been a lot of clubs doing sport stuff.
I'm sure it was Kenny Jackett.
They had Stephen Clements in charge for a while, Ray Clements' son.
Yeah.
They had Mark Bonner, who took Cambridge up. He's a Cambridge through and through. I think he's back at Cambridge now, Mark Bonner. The former Cambridge boss. He was at Gillingham for a while and it didn't work out. They've had various managers this season. Like I say, John Coleman took temporary charge, which was a weird move because I just don't know what he'd done to justify the job. And also, I don't think he's managed to start the Northwest in his career. So Gillingham's a bit far away. But it seems to be they've got someone now who sort of is-ish in the vicinity, lives down that way anyway. I don't know how far it is from, say, Wickham and that to Gillingham, but he lives down that way to Ainsworth, and I think, watch this space with Gillingham next season. If you can get the right players behind him and get buy-in from them, Gillingham could be a threat next year.
Oh, yeah. So just to correct my Kenny Jackett thing there, Kenny Jackett steps down as Director of Football 11th of November, Gillingham. So he was there fairly recently. I do remember that being an appointment. I do remember that being something I thought,
right.
Because they had a decent name as manager and a decent sports director, football director. And I thought, they might do something here. So that's why I was shocked to see them in the bottom 5 in League Two.
Yeah. They had a bad season a few years ago and then just bought a load of players from like when the American guy took over, whose name escapes me now. He bought a load of like really good players from like MK Dons and like all the top end sides. Didn't they, from League Two?
That rings a bell.
I don't remember who. There was a guy from Newport they signed. I don't remember. Was it Dominic Telford? No, I don't know. They signed somebody really good and it was like, why has he dropped down there? It's like, well, Gillingham have got money. Yeah. It always seems to be Gillingham have got this incredible ambition to, well, I say incredible, this ambition to always get back up. Because growing up, I remember Gillingham in the Championship. In the second division, but they've always sort of yo-yo. Gillingham, one of those clubs, a bit like, I always compare Gillingham weirdly with like some Northampton or, I'm trying to think of like Shrewsbury.
I know what you mean.
Where literally at any given season, at the start of any given season, I have to look up to see if they're in League One or League Two. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Northampton.
League One or League Two.
Oh yeah, Northampton especially.
But I don't know which division they're in. It's no disrespect. It's just, I just don't know which division you're in. You're in one or two of them.
Yes, I know you are.
Like Walsall, I'd have to check.
Yeah.
Walsall, okay, the top of League Two at the moment, but
I know what you mean.
If you forget who goes up or down, you kind of have to just check to make sure that one's in League One. So Gillingham, one of those clubs that go, which division are they in this year? Right, they stayed in League Two. Okay, I totally understand the ambition they've got. It potentially is let's not forget Gillingham were the playoff finalists when City won the League One Division 3 playoff final.
Oh, yeah.
Tony Pulis and that.
Yeah.
You know, they have got a big old history in like the third tier level, and they've been up in the second division, and they've got ambitions to get back there. So fair play, they make it work great, but it's all gone a bit Pete-Tong for Shrewsbury the last couple of weeks. It's really been a bit of a disaster story, unfortunately, for them.
Some of the half-time scores are coming in. Harrogate, that's 0-0 at the moment. That's half-time. Harrogate 1-0 against Tranmere. We'll just jump back to Tranmere. So we mentioned there's a block of decent results there for Tranmere. So you've got the 2-0 win against Cheltenham. You've got the clean sheet, Fleetwood 0-0. You beat Bradford, which you mentioned. You beat Bromley 2-1. Grimsby 1-all away from home. You take the draw sometimes. And then you've got Tranmere 1, Port Vale 1. What's happened recently where it's sort of flipped and you got this good block of results? Because weeks ago, you and Deck were sending voice notes like it were. I mean, I know it did look really bad at the time, obviously, because there was a bad. If you look past that good block of results, it's all red. So, what do you think's changed?
Nigel Adkins was sacked. He got sacked after the Accrington defeat. Andy Crosby's first game was against his former club in Port Vale. Solid 1-1 draw. And there's been a whole atmosphere change, culture change. The players seem to, for all the positivity that Nigel Adkins exudes in post-match press conferences, on social media and all these things, there was clearly something behind the scenes where he was holding the players in the club back. It's as simple as that. It is. Sometimes it's easy to blame the manager, and sometimes it's easy to go, it's more than just, and I'm sure it is just more than Adkins, but it's a sea of red up until the 25th of Feb when we lose home to Accrington, which was a killer of result. It was a joke of a goal to concede if you've ever seen it. It was embarrassing. No. Awful game, awful result, awful goal to concede. Egos. Crosby, his assistant, comes in as caretaker manager just for that game, and it was like he's impressed that much, we'll give it him the end of the season. And I mean, I can't even say the fixtures have been kinder because Bradford away. Bradford are bloody good.
Tough game.
Bromley have been a good side this season. Grimsby are up there. Port Vale are right up there. When you consider defeats to Accrington, defeats to the likes of, with the great respect, Swindon, been certainly a defeat to Morecambe this year as well. You just think sides that have been down there with them.
Yeah. Looking at
it's quite clear that it was the manager holding them back. And okay, whether they do stay up or not, there's clearly been a lot of optimism around Rovers fans the last few months when Andy Crosby's took charge, because it's just refreshing. It's just there's something to cling on to going forward. Obviously, the ownership needs to change. Mark Palios, I don't think he can even fund the club anymore, to be perfectly honest. Personally, I don't know how true that is. I've got to be careful, not careful what I say. I am just speculating, but it's quite clear that he's got desires to move on from his ownership of the club. He's done a good job to get the club out of the National League. And as Deck has pointed out, he should have sold the club when the club was in League One. Took up 2 divisions. That was the time to sell when the club was a red hot in League One. And they've not been able to recover from that demotion during COVID.
Yes.
And just financially, the recruitment's not been great for managers, for players. There's been some money there, but it's not. The budget-wise, it's probably mid-table, League Two. It's not nothing that would state that they're going to challenge at the top end. There's some good players in that team for League Two level, but you've got to get the right chemistry. And I think, unfortunately, there's been bad appointments and bad decision one after another. And I think he knows himself. He may well be a Tranmere fan, Palios, but he knows it's time. It needs some fresh injection of just something really to keep the club fighting, keep the club progressing.
As you say, with the appointment of Andy Crosby, those results that you just mentioned, that's really a baptism of fire, to be honest, because Port Vale are up there. As you say, Bradford are up there. Tough gig, that, really. That could have fell through completely, that could have been 3-0, 2-0 defeat, sorry.
After the Accrington game, fans were convinced, and it was like literally a fag paper between them, Morecambe and Carlisle on the bottom three.
That's a hell of a result.
Was absolute touch and go.
Gosh. It's only until you... Again, a cliche, but when you're looking from the outside to these things and you think, is it just because of the new appointment of the manager? And sometimes, these things need to be done because it wasn't looking great.
No,
we knew it from Deck's voice notes and yours and his. I would say like Deck's lack of enthusiasm for Tranmere as well was coming through because Deck's usually saying something or yes or blah blah blah. There was nothing from him a lot of weeks, and you just knew that. And that's the killer when you've got a lack of enthusiasm from the fans that have been going for donkey's years. They've seen the bad times Tranmere at Tranmere in the conference and different things like that. They've seen the bad results, the 4-0s or something. And for Deck to be pretty quiet about things up until fairly recently, but not until he was sacked, obviously. But it can get to you. It really can. There's got to be a chance that he's staying up this season. Look at, 34 points from 40. Morecambe have been not very good all season. Carlisle worse. I went to watch Accrington Morecambe a couple of months ago now. It might have been last year. And the Morecambe weren't that great apart from they scored a screamer of a free kick against Accrington. And I wouldn't have said that Accrington looked outstanding. The ball were pinging around a lot. It was one of those games where nobody could really take the game by the scruff of the neck. None of them really did. But yeah, I've seen Morecambe live this season. They weren't great, unfortunately. And I don't particularly mind Morecambe. They're not one of those teams that wind me up like Bradford or your MK Dons or your generic, stereotypical ones where you go, I don't like them. Don't mind Morecambe. Don't mind Carlisle. But it's not looking good. Let's have a look. Are playing tonight? Morecambe 0, Cheltenham 0 half time.
Yeah, I mean, no, for context, I mean, if the three, I can only say I've only been to 3 home games this year. So any Rovers fans who want to message in or tweet or get on the socials and talk about more depth, I know there are people who'd be willing to contribute and say, maybe say, oh yeah, I agree, or no, you're talking on your arse, you've only seen us 3 games a season. But the 3 games I did see were home to Bradford, Wimbledon and Morecambe. So quite a contrast.
Wow, yeah.
When you watch Bradford and Wimbledon turn up and you go, okay, these are quite good. And we saw Morecambe and it was 2 ball men fighting over a cone. It was, is that even the right expression? It was awful. It was 2-2. It was actually quite an entertaining game in the sense that there were goals.
Yeah.
But you could tell, I remember just sat there going, seriously, this Morecambe team are nothing special.
Yeah.
And obviously they're not because they're near the bottom of League 2, so are Rovers. But it was like, these are down there and you could see why they're down there. Yeah. They are not good.
No.
Like I say, neither side was. But it was like, how are these, when they were 2-1 up, how are these leading? These are awful. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I was watching 2 professional football teams, to be honest with you, at that point. And you can usually see a bit of quality with some of the higher upsides. Like I say, Bradford and Wimbledon had a plan, were incisive, they showed quality. But the Rovers Morecambe game really was just, as the kids may say, the trenches. It was for goals. It was great for entertainment. It was not bad, but it was poor standard. And for me, I wasn't impressed with Morecambe. I've not seen Carlisle this year, but by all accounts, they seem to have spent bought about 3 new squads, got Mark Hughes in charge. It's been a bit of a random season for them, and they don't seem to have done a lot with it. They seem to have got a lot of players in from all over the place. And various managers, and it just hasn't seemed to click for them either. But it's a shame for both clubs. Whoever goes down, I hope Rovers stay up, but it's obviously not done yet. But it's a shame, even if Rovers stay up, great. But it's a shame with Morecambe and Carlisle to go down. 2 great clubs. Morecambe obviously not with the biggest history in the Football League, but they obviously have that history of being a good, solid conference club, and then worked their way up as high as League One, being relegated until they went down from League One. And Carlisle, as we know, are such a solid lower league club.
Aren't they just? That's the one where
they've been down a couple of times, haven't they, in the conference? But they keep coming back up, and I hope if they do go down, they hopefully will come back up. But they're a good club, Carlisle, as well, and it is sad to see from 18 months ago going up in the League 2 playoff final under Paul Simpson.
Yes,
what looks like now potentially back-to-back relegations. It is a shame to see at that club.
Carlisle, it's one of those where in the last 20 years or so, I've been watching Dale and going to away games. That's the one where I think we played them on a Friday night. I was in high school, so how many years is that? 20 years ago. My dad picked me up from high school. My mum and my uncle Sean were in the car. We got some butties and crisps and all kinds of stuff on the way straight up from high school to Carlisle. It was a Friday night game. We're going to have to find out what that were, results-wise. The only thing I think with Carlisle was the week before they had trouble with another team, and I can't remember who it were, and they had the police dogs and all kinds of stuff going on. And that was it's quite intimidating, like when you're young, and you see these police dogs following you into a stadium. But Carlisle away. I don't mind Carlisle away. There's nothing really up there apart from Carlisle. But one of them teams, I put them in the same. I mean, I know we're in the conference, but I put them in as a traditional lower league. When I don't mind Carlisle at all. But we've had some battles with them in the past. They've had some good players. I think Grant Holt played for Carlisle at one point. Did he go back?
He may have. Is he from that part of the world?
I think he is.
I think he may have started out there. I could be wrong.
I think he did. But I had no idea that Mark Hughes were there. Wow.
He's manager, yeah.
It doesn't seem to bode well for any team that gets Mark Hughes, does it? It never seems to really
not in recent years, no.
steer them in the right direction. I've never seen anything where he's chuffed his mint balls that they've won the league or anything.
It's a very strange one with him. He's gone from being Wales national team manager, being pretty much his first job, 20 years ago. Managing Blackburn, doing a solid job, getting them to Europe, then taking over City, the City getting bought by Abu Dhabi. And then from there, he's gone via, I feel Fulham, QPR. I could be wrong.
Yes, correct.
I don't know if it was a Villa. I don't think there was a Villa job in there. And then after QPR, I don't know if he just disappeared.
Oh, he went to Stoke City.
Of course, he got Stoke relegated, didn't he?
Yeah.
Stoke, and then he got Stoke and Southampton relegated in the same season in 2018. Didn't he? Or he was involved with both of those in the same year. They went down in 2018.
Yeah.
And then he just appeared at Bradford last season.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's been abroad anywhere in the meantime. He
No.
just rocked up in League Two. I was like, you've just had a managerial career in the Premier League, and it's I'm going to manage Bradford now, lads. And that didn't go particularly well either.
No. And this isn't with
it's
Carlisle.
It's such a weird managerial career.
It's a bizarre.
For a cracking player.
Great
and what
player.
looked like a really solid manager in the Premier League. And obviously, like I say, nearly got Wales to Euro 2004, I seem to remember. Lost in Russia in the playoffs. And when he looked like a promising manager for a time. Obviously, he didn't get given the riches at Man City without being promising, albeit it was very early days. It's just gone very weird for him.
You look at I forget who he's played for. Well, I know he played for Man United and Barca. But you got Man United, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, played for Chelsea, Southampton, Everton. Yes, Millennium.
I watched him score a goal or maybe even two against Watford at home in the 1999-2000 season.
Interesting.
4-2.
Because it says here, played for Everton 18 times, scored one. So you may have seen his only goal.
He definitely scored one that day, though. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Him and Joe Max Moore.
So there you go. You've seen Mark Hughes' his only goal for Everton.
Potentially.
And
maybe,
Blackburn.
Yeah.
I remember him playing for Blackburn. Yeah, I remember that.
He won the League Cup for Blackburn.
He wasn't a player manager, was he?
No, Souness was in charge of Blackburn.
That's right.
I think.
Yes, that's correct. 2 years later, he manages Blackburn. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I feel like Souness went to Newcastle from Blackburn, and he took the Blackburn job after managing Wales. I could be wrong. I'm sure his first job was the Welsh national team. It was really weird.
Yeah, it was 99.
I say it's weird. A bit like Bellamy, because Bellamy's first managerial gig is Wales at the moment.
Is that managerial career 1999? He was still playing, wasn't he? That can't be
was
right.
He player manager of the Welsh national team?
That can't be right, can it?
He might have been. That's unique. You know,
it says here
international level.
No, it says here played for Blackburn from the Millennium to 2002. Managerial career 99 to 2004 Wales. I need to look at that.
Ooh, I know he definitely managed him in the 2004 Euros qualifying campaign, but I thought he'd retired by then. I'm sure he only managed him from 02 to 04.
There's only one way.
I could be wrong.
ChatGPT.
I don't know whether he had some kind of backroom role or some kind of interim role after. Who would have left the Welsh national team job? Bobby Gould, maybe, in 99? Don't know. But yeah, strange old managerial career.
Isn't it just?
One of many Sir Alex Ferguson disciples who I don't get how... I'm sure there's somebody I'm missing, really obvious, but I can't think of many real former Sir Alex Ferguson Man United players who've gone on to actually have a really good managerial career.
Exactly.
Now, I'm sure I'm missing someone. I know there's someone bloody obvious I'm missing. Someone will go, what about this person? Steve Bruce, solid enough.
Yeah,
okay.
You know what you get.
Not bad. And he's at Blackpool at the moment, but he's had a career that's slowly dwindled.
Oh, wow.
The last few years.
He was still playing football, Mark Hughes.
Really, when he took the Wales job?
Just ask ChatGPT how accurate that is. I don't know. But it says here, yes, Mark Hughes was still playing football when he was appointed Wales manager in 1999. He initially took the role as joint manager alongside Bobby Gould.
Bobby Gould was still there. It would have been the era. A lot of joint managers around. Remember, like when Liverpool had Roy Evans and Gerard Houllier, joint managers.
Gosh, yes.
And like you had, I don't know. There was something else quite high profile, but still quite a common thing in Scandinavia. Apparently, you get like a lot of like Norwegians who are joint managers still and stuff. And it's like still a thing apparently.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT for what would you call them? Joint managers or
joint managers? Yeah, you got Bernard and John who managed Chester, Salford, Radcliffe, a few others. But joint managers were quite, I say, in vogue. Liverpool did it in the late 90s. Just on the subject of strange international managerial quirks.
Yeah.
Around the same time, do you remember? I don't think you will remember this actually. So, if it's what Mark Hughes playing whilst joint managing Bobby Gould with Wales, England around about 90. Well, when Glenn Hoddle left, so about 98 to 2000.
Yeah.
Kevin Keegan managed England and Fulham joint. Now, Fulham, I'm sure, were in this third division. And he was also England manager. Because it was when Al-Fayed bought out Fulham and basically got them from the third division up to like the Premier League. And I'm sure Kevin Keegan like won what is now League One whilst also acting as England manager.
Jesus, let's have a look.
I'm sure that was a thing. I could be wrong, because obviously I was about 8 at the time. So the way you misremember things as kids. But I'm sure Keegan managed Fulham and England at the same time.
Now then. Managerial career. Oh, he might have done. Managerial career, Newcastle, 1992 to 1997.
He was in Newcastle for a time.
Fulham, 97 to 99.
And then he left.
England, 99 to 2000.
He took over England from the Fulham job. Maybe they hired him from League One randomly.
Surely.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I don't think he did. Maybe he did it for like one game as an overlap.
That's a niche, that, if anything.
I feel like he maybe did, but I don't know, because I seem to remember he had to give up the Fulham job to take on England full time, or maybe he just got picked from Fulham. I don't know.
Interesting.
But it was weird because Fulham aren't what Fulham are now. Fulham were a former decent club in the 60s, but were very much a lower league club. You know, it's a bit like if England hired the Chris Davis, the Birmingham manager now, kind of thing. Essentially.
Wow.
It's kind of that, though, isn't it, really?
I don't know if these are true, because ChatGPT can be way off. So I'll just ask for joint managers, a few. It says Roy Evans and
Gerard Houllier, Liverpool,
98, yeah.
Remember that well, yeah.
Newcastle, 2004. Terry McDermott and John Carver.
I feel like that was when Souness was there. He may have had to step away for a bit. I think that might have been an interim thing.
I don't know if these are assistant managers. Do you think?
I think Carver and McDermott were assistant managers for Souness.
Right. It must have got it way off for you. They must have got it way off.
But Houllier and Evans were definitely joint managers at Liverpool. People forget that Houllier didn't come in as full manager initially. He came in alongside Roy Evans, and then eventually Evans got the boot.
When you say he wasn't his assistant manager then to Roy Evans, was he, Gerard?
No, they were literally both the manager.
That's mental. I forgot all about that.
I think in like 98, 99 or something, or maybe even for a part of 98. And then, like I say, Roy Evans, club legend, Liverpool got the boot, and Houllier took sole charge and ended up winning the cup.
Completely forgot all about that. I don't know how.
I remember it well. It was really weird.
Wow.
You don't get many joint managers anymore, especially not joint managers who aren't like that Bernard and Jono kind of, they go as a team, just like literally two guys who've just been concocted together to just get on with it, especially when one's already in the job and the other kind of comes in alongside him.
It says
very odd.
Steve Evans and Paul Rayner at Boston United, 2002 to 2007.
I
booked.
don't know about that. I think Steve Evans was just main manager, although maybe maybe there was an issue with the whole legal thing with him, that maybe his assistant or somebody had to take charge whilst he couldn't manage for a time. I don't know. But,
Wow. That's not...
Anyway.
Mark Hughes and Neville Southall. Wow, did they?
That's surely an interim
can't be
job.
right.
That wasn't an official. Neville Southall's never been a manager in his life.
No, I didn't think so. But it must be ChatGPT just throwing up some...
It's just throwing out names at this point.
Yeah, I'll stop there on that one. But that's a rabbit hole we didn't think we'd find ourselves in.
Wow.
I do like you never see player managers anymore, but we used to have Paul Simpson was our player manager about 2002. But what a bizarre position that must be, being a player manager. I always remember he brought himself on a few times, which was what mindset must you be in to think, right, I could do a better job, I'm coming on. Do you know, like, what is your... That's it's always intrigued me, that one. Because he was obviously the back end of his career, Paul Simpson, playing for us. I can't remember where we sat. We might have got him from Carlisle. Oh, no, that was later on. Paul Simpson. I don't know if you know any player managers that stick out for you, Jimmy. I
do, and it is a Liverpool player manager, actually. Kenny Dalglish won the league and the cup double.
Of course.
As player manager in 1986, much to my... Not that I was around, much to my ire. They beat us in the cup final and pipped us to the title. But Dalglish was player manager. And yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. To do the double as a player manager as a manager is incredible. But as a player manager, when absolutely ridiculous.
Good lord.
So that is certainly one. I think most player managers you find now will be interim. It'll be sort of like when we had Baines and Coleman really taking charge.
Wow.
Okay, Baines is retired, but when Coleman took joint kind of charge for the game against Peterborough, Dyche literally left on the day this season. Yeah. So Coleman was technically joint player manager. I don't know what role it was, to be honest with you. It was one game. It doesn't really count.
Was Brian Robson one? Was he a player manager?
Oh, yeah, I think he may have been, because I know what you're thinking of. You're thinking of the photo shoot at Middlesbrough when he signed, where he had his suit on, top half, and his Borough shorts on with the scarf and the football. That's incredible.
I saw that recently.
He may have been actually appointed as player manager. I don't think he lasted long as a player if he did, but he may have been a player manager for a very brief stint. But that photo is brilliant. That is so 90s Premier League.
I need to find this photo.
That is so 90s. Literally top. It's almost like he's had a Zoom meeting. It's like top half suit, bottom half just in your shorts and your boots on.
Let's call it Brian Robson.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Manager. Brian Robson, player manager.
How they got him to do that?
Oh, I've got it. My word. That's definitely a Zoom call. That predates Zoom, but that is basically. There you go.
Oh yes, it's spectacular.
From there, you could say that's the new manager.
Yeah.
From there, hang on. Even if there.
No, you're just showing Brian Robson's crash.
No, you don't want to do that.
This is getting
ridiculous.
We're going down another rabbit hole now.
You don't want to do that.
We're going into managerial crotches of the 90s. That's a different episode.
That's
the Patreon. We don't have a Patreon.
We wish we did.
Oh, no one's paying. No one's paying for this, mate. No one's paying for this.
All the scores are the same. Harrogate are still winning 1-0. Rochdale are winning 1-0. Who scored for Dale? It was Rodney. Rodney scored. Devante Rodney. Interesting. Well, we'll talk a little bit about Dale because we've done Tranmere, Tad there, a little bit about Everton. So yeah, Saturday we won 4-0 against Aldershot. I saw the highlights. What I was quite impressed about was when it was 3-0 and 4-0, we were still trying to go for another goal. In previous years, I've seen us where we're 2-0 and we've sat back and we've pissed it up against the wall and the opposition have got 2 back. It's nice to see where we're still looking for the more goals. In this particular highlights of this game, anyway, because the week before was horrendous. But it was a good fixture. Result that we needed. A lot of people. They're falling in and out of love with Jim McNulty. I think I've mentioned this early on in the podcast. Was slightly, I shouldn't say this, but in football results, we're quite bipolar, shall we say, in terms of we won 4-0, but the week before that, York battered us 4-0. And then the week before that was 1-1, and then we got beat by Boston 3-2, and then it's 1-1, and then we've Altrincham, who were the team, the flavour of the month last season. A lot of neutrals. Oh yeah, that'd be good if they went up. We managed to batter them 3-0. But I always thought they were. They've gone slightly down now, so they're 9th, but we're only 6 points above them. But yeah, it's just I don't know what the. I was thinking about this before we came on the pod about Dale. What's Jim McNulty's message every week to the players, because the results are absolutely frantic. So it's like we're winning 3-0 and it's 1-1. Then we're losing 3-2, then it's 1-1. Then we're losing 4-0 and then we're winning 4-0. So it's just scattergun, absolute scattergun when you look at it like that. We did have a block of 4 wins on the bounce. That was great. March, there you go. Yeah. Altrincham 2-0 beat them. Gateshead beat them. Wealdstone 4-1 beat them, and Altrincham again. Oh, sorry, one of them's FA Trophy, but still, they're all lined up as wins. So we did have a good run, but we go through this mad. It's not even a pattern because it's so all over the place. That sometimes I would like to know what Jimmy's actually saying to the players, because there's teams. I know we've mentioned Boston have pegged it up the league slightly. They were dead and buried at one point, and now they're on the cusp of staying up. I know it's 4 down. Ebbsfleet are looking dead and buried, 19 points.
Ebbsfleet are dead and buried.
Yeah. Oh,
they're mathematically gone.
Interesting.
Yeah,
right.
They're gone.
But I don't know. We have played teams in this division this year where you go, oh yeah, surely that's 3 points, and then no. They're just playing us off the park. So I think there's a bit of naivety sometimes with McNulty, where I don't know what he's telling the players or what the message is within the camp at Rochdale, but sometimes it's so unpredictable. And you can't always, you don't know if you're going left or right. But from the outside, like I was talking to the lads on my dinner break, one of the lads, and he were like, but you could go to Wembley twice this year. And I was like, how? From these absolute lottery, it's basically throw a dice. What's the 2 dice? What's the result going to be? It can be like that with Rochdale sometimes. But how we found ourselves in this position, where at the live table right now we're 5th. It's like, and we're could be in the final. We're in the last 4 of the FA Trophy. It's like with the Matt spoke about this on the pod a few months ago about Little Britain, where he's fell up the tree. How have you got there? I fell. It's feeling like that at the minute. I don't know what your thoughts are, Jim. I
think from the outside, the National League is, and always was, extremely competitive.
Oh, yeah.
That League 2, it's difficult because obviously you look at Premier League, look at Championship, look at even at League 1 these days, you can always sort of chunk and segment the clubs into like maybe 3 or 4 mini leagues. Once you get down to League 2 in the National League, it gets to the way leagues kind of should be, which is anything can happen on any given week. The table can change in any manner of ways from game to game. And I think, okay, you've got 3 teams that are quite clearly superior this season to the rest. Barnet are running away with it. They've scored 84 goals for crying out loud, but and they've conceded the least of anyone, 33. So it looks like Barnet are going to win it. Credit to them, they're a bloody good side this year. They've always knocking on the door of the National League. Then you've got York that just managed to win games, but also are not short of the odd defeat. And Forest Green, who don't lose many games. In fact, they've only lost 5, the same as Barnet, but a lot of draws in there as well. After that, though, you've got Oldham, obviously 66, Tamworth and 10th on 57. You've got 9 points between 10th and 4th. Like that in a race for playoffs it's for the neutral. It's what you want. Obviously, if you're involved in it, it's twitchy as fuck. But when you're looking at it, you're going, yeah, this is how a league should be. You shouldn't be able to call the playoff places like straight away. You shouldn't be able to call who's going to go up and who's going to. Okay, you can pretty much nail on Barnet going up, but it's just a really open league, and I think that's something that is really difficult. When you come down into the league, you think, we've got enough to go out there and at least finish 2nd, 3rd in the league. But the reality is the gap between League Two and the National League, as you well know, is not that great. The fact that clubs will come up from the National League and will stay up comfortably. Look at where Bromley are this year. Look at, okay, Chesterfield, they're an established Football League club, but look at where they are. They're not exactly struggling. Teams don't go straight back down to the National League from when they come up into League Two. And it's so telling that you've got this just cluster of solid ex-league clubs and Gateshead, who are there as well, fair play to them, all taking up the top 8 spaces. And it's a fascinating league. I wouldn't want to be back in it, don't get me wrong, mate, but it's a fascinating league because it is how it kind of should be, where like it's frustrating for a fan because you win one game 4-0 one week and then you play another team who look a bit crap on the table and you lose 3-0. But that's because teams are so closely matched that it's a bit like and not to compare it to Sunday League in terms of quality, but like in your Sunday League where it can be so erratic as to how teams go and how form can go because all you have to do is just be a bit better than the others and get back consistency and you piss the league. Barnet, I'm pretty sure, as good as they are, probably aren't wonderful. But they've won 28 games this year. They've managed to grind out or whatever, 28 games this year. It's about getting those, like it's the case of any league, you get those results, but the margins in the National League are so fine as to whether you make the playoffs. And let's be honest, there's only one automatic space. You've got to win the league to go up. So make the playoffs or not. And it's so every year it's so tight and so hard to call. A couple of wins and you're in the playoffs, a couple of defeats and you're down where we still Sutton United, 15th place, 51 points. But with, 6 games to go? 3 wins of the last 6 games, they're looking at pushing towards the play. Okay, other teams have got points as well. They're potentially pushing towards the playoff places. They won't make it. But, it is insanely tight, and I get for a fan it is frustrating unless you are the one that is winning every week. You're battering teams. You are. I get that, but I'm sure you speak to fans of Oldham, you speak to fans of Southend, you speak to fans of like Aldershot, Hartlepool, who've all been in the League Two in recent years. I mean, Christ, look at Dagenham. They are, a whisker away from dropping into the relegation zone at the moment.
Shame. Yeah.
Boston obviously losing to Wellston as things are. It means they're dropping down again. But, I mean, Dagenham, I remember Dagenham in the Football League. I remember in League One, League Two. And look at where they could be now, and obviously other clubs have dropped down further. It's such a difficult league because everyone is so similar. Everyone is so similar in ability, really, that it just concertinas, and a few wins get you right up there in the playoffs, as you are now, and it may not look like a great season on paper, but you still only conceded 38 goals. You still only conceded, when you consider York in second, you conceded 37. When you consider Oldham above you, conceded 41. Gateshead in 7th, conceded 57 goals.
Bloody hell. Yeah.
When you think about, look at the defences around you, okay, Halifax 37, Forest Green 35, but Forest Green, like I say, very hard to beat. Yeah. They just draw a lot of games.
Yeah.
Very solid side for the level. Your defence isn't that bad.
No.
Where I would say is that, like with Oldham, you and Oldham need to get a few more goals in if you're going to get up there. Because the top 3, 84, 77, 60.
Exactly.
And Gateshead have scored 67 goals, and the 7th. What's going on with Gateshead?
It's just pure number wang of a football club. It's just
it's the number one Vanarama League. It's the whole thing is just vibes. It's brilliant.
It is.
And that's you try and analyse it, and it is just it's chaos, and that's the idea. It's meant to be
organised chaos. It's absolutely
organised in the sense it's on the zone.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's chaos, and I do kind of love it.
This is a some new flash there. Harrogate 2-1.
Yeah,
2-1.
Right.
Tranmere. Hang on, let's have a look. Yeah. Oh, right. So they were 2-0 up, and then Hendry's just scored.
Hendry's just scored. Yeah.
Let's hope they can get a few back there. But yeah, it's a mental league, the conference. It'd be one of those where, hopefully we go up in a few years' time, and you can look back on it and go, wasn't that a nuts season?
Yeah.
Like Tranmere may look at it like that and go, gosh, wasn't that a nuts year? But you can only say that once you're out of it and you're in
for
hindsight and a bit safer.
For a couple of years, it was like, God, do you remember playing Solihull and beating them 9-0? Or God, them going down to Eastleigh and losing.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, that was... Oh, and now it's like, oh, God, don't send us back there, whatever you do.
Because you know the animal, so to speak. You've been there, and you don't want it back. You don't want it back, obviously.
I think regardless of whether you've been down there or not, you don't want to go down because budget-wise, financially, what it does to your club to be out of the Football League for a few years. And nobody wants to go down anyway. Logically, you don't want to get relegated, but to go into a division where it's just such a nightmare, such a bottleneck to get out of. And then you look at like the National League South. I mean, and just only say this because somebody put up a screenshot of the title race, shall we say, of the National League South recently. Worthing 80 top, Dorking 77, Truro 77, Torquay 77, Eastbourne 75, and every one of those clubs are practically in France. Oh my God!
Oh yeah, Eastbourne is.
I don't fancy any of the northern clubs going down to any one of them in the National League on a Tuesday night next season. Truro is like, it might as well be in Spain. It's that far south.
Yeah, Eastbourne, my lord. We have a works conference there every few years, and I went last year. Was it?
Yeah.
You might as well be in France. I think I could see France from my hotel.
Yeah.
And it was just ridiculous. And it's not...
Yeah.
I understand the coast culture of, your Southports and your what have you, and your... I get it. I get the... And your Scarboroughs, and it's nice. I get it. But, it was too far for me. I might as well have been... I could have had a passport with me, but I didn't. It was...
Well, I'm off to Brighton at the weekend, so, I can't really talk.
Do you want to tap into that a little bit?
I don't know. We can do if you want, basically. Long story short, I'm running the marathon in Brighton on Sunday.
Fantastic.
There we go.
Fantastic.
That's it. That's all there is to say, really. Hopefully I complete it. Hopefully I don't die. I'll be fine. Don't worry.
What is classed as a marathon? How many miles is that?
26.2 miles.
Shit,
the exact distance.
Shit, that's...
Or 42.2 kilometres for new money.
I only do it in miles. I don't know. Do you do it in miles?
You can work in either at this point. The only reason I know how to convert is through running.
Shit.
I just know certain distances converting into kilometres and miles.
I think that's my house to Manchester.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
I think 24 miles. I think that's about 24 miles.
I'm not running from your house to Manchester, mate. If that's any consolation.
No. I was thinking in miles, but yeah.
I don't plan on doing that anytime soon.
No. Well, fantastic. That's going to be great. You're going for the weekend, obviously.
Going down Friday, coming back up Tuesday.
That's a long stretch.
Yeah, four nights down in the city. So anyone, I know we've obviously had
Joe Sayer.
Yeah, Brighton fans on the pod and that. But any Brighton fans want to give us a shout out, where's good to eat? Where's good to recover? If you want to come and say hi while I'm down the area, I'm more than happy to say hi. Myself and my girlfriend will be down there for 4 nights.
Fantastic. I'll keep an eye out for anything on the socials on that front.
I am sure I'll be posing at the end with a medal and looking dead to the world, but
that's something.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to some of the scores. Premier League's looking the same. Arsenal are 1-0 against Fulham. 71 minutes gone. Wolves are 1-0 up against West Ham.
Yeah.
Forest are still beating United.
They are.
I think we spoke about these in January. I think Forest, that we were quite surprised that they were up there, and we were not pleased, but not annoyed. I don't mind Forest, traditional club. They seem to be doing things in the right way. Apart from, was it last season or the season before when they had Jesse Lingard and signed about 87 different players? That's
the last few years.
That was mental.
They came up from the Championship with about 8 players. So
interesting. I was listening to, what was the podcast I was listening to today? The one with Paul Scholes and Carragher.
The
overlap. They had Kieran Maguire on. Talking about the 115 charges for Man City. That was an interesting listen. We could tap into that a little bit. We could have another 10 minutes if you want to. But that was an interesting listen because Scholesy and the Carragher were insinuating that the only way that you could possibly not hurt the owners but punish them for if these charges are legitimate is to dock them points. And that's basically what Kieran Maguire's insinuated, that it will be points deductions in the next... It will all come out in the next few days. I think the Premier League, he was suggesting that the Premier League wanted to go over the line before the end of this season, because then there are potential knock-on effects with teams in this division currently now in the Premier League, where if this ban was in place now, we would have stayed up or something. So they want it to be cut and dry, where the points go into are mentioned now before pre-season, and then into place next season. Apparently,
so the points get deducted at the start of next season. You mean
potentially?
I think that would be fairer. I think that would be fairer for all involved if they are to do it. Like I say, I don't agree with points deductions. Never have. I never did ever since Luton got 30 points taken off in 09. I thought it was a disgrace. But if you are going to do it, and I wish they'd done this with Everton, I wish they'd done this with Forest.
Yeah.
Take them off at the start of the season. Yeah. So everyone kind of knows at the start of the season where they stand.
Where they are.
So you've not got a joke where, like we had last season, where, we're taking 10 points off you mid-season. Actually, no, we're going to add back on 4, but then take off another 2. And it was chaos. And then Forest had 4 just randomly taken off them mid-season. And there's Luton wondering, are we going to stay up because points deductions? And it's like, this whole thing's a farce. I think if you are going to take points off Manchester City, or indeed any other club, you've got to do it. You've got to set your stall out from the start of the season, make it quite clear at the beginning of the season, because it affects how they're going to do business. It affects how they're going to approach the season. Let's not forget Man City got the Club World Cup in June as well. So there is going to be a mini transfer window at the start of June, or before that, and there's going to be the normal transfer window after. So it might affect, if we know, people might look at City and go, Jesus, they're on minus, say, 20 points or something at the start of the season. Don't fancy that move, or, who knows. I think if you're going to do it, get it done at the start of next season. Don't start taking points off mid this season. It's too late now. Near the end of the season, let the season play out however it's going to be. It'll just become a farce if you start taking points off clubs now. I think if you're going to do it, like I say, beginning next season, and don't start faffing with totals mid-season. Let City then have a chance to build up their points total and get back to get however they can get to with the deductions that they may have.
This is the rumour.
That is I don't want to say the fairest way, because again, I don't agree with that. I think there's other ways you can do it which seem that can impact the play on the pitch without it impacting the league table. Yeah. But you could basically slap a transfer ban of like 5 years, 10 years on them. You could whatever else. I know they'll probably find a way around it. They always do. It's hard to know what to do in the situation with so many egregious alleged breaches. I don't know enough about it. You obviously listen to the overlap with Kieran Maguire. I don't know the first thing about these 115 or whatever charges. Seems that most fans of clubs at Liverpool and Arsenal seem to know everything about it, because it's all they want to do is complain about City cheating allegedly.
Let's see where it goes. I
just think of the City fans, the genuine City fans who've been around the club for the last 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah. And, just want to see their club win a few trophies. This is it's insane. The way this has rumbled on, I know it's going to take a while because it's a lot of things that have been alleged, but I just think that's really sad if that's what it's got to. And I think it's a really bad look for the Premier League that they've let City flout these rules for all this time, and then all of a sudden they're going to be hit with all these deductions or whatever, because it just makes a mockery of the club that's won, as of right now, the last 4 Premier League titles.
Absolutely.
It really does. And it makes a mockery of the league. It's basically Cal Choppy all over again, but not quite the same. It might might affect the league in that way.
They had a Man City fan on with them because I think they have fans with them on this one. I've never seen it, but I hear it. Yeah. And the City fan was basically saying FA Cup and qualifying for the Champions League is a good season for Man City.
Agreed.
Scalzi was saying, well, it's not a good season, says Scalzi, because you are, the elite going for the league and going for the Champions League. So he said, is it a good season for Man City qualifying for the Champions League and getting an FA Cup? Not sure myself, Jim.
I think it is. I think in the context of the season it is. I think the fact that they had a really rough run for the 6-7 games in a row. I think, to be honest, right, okay, here we go. Strap in, lads. Right.
Here we go.
You can't win every trophy every fucking season.
Oh, I know.
I know you want to. Everyone wants to. You can't. There's only 3 domestic major trophies in this country. There's a European Cup. Only one club can win that. There's only 4-5 spaces this year in the Champions League. If Manchester City get one of those 5 Champions League spots and win the FA Cup in the context of, hey, we've won the last 4 league titles, we were European champions and treble winners in 2023, yeah, okay, you'd like to just absolutely Real Madrid it every year. You can't.
No.
You physically can't do it.
No.
Scholes saying that, are we forgetting that from what the 03, 04, 04, 05, 05, 06 season, United won, I think, 1 FA Cup and 1 League Cup in those 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Now I know Alex Ferguson would have given them a complete kick up the arse, but that's 3 years where United didn't win the league. At one point, I think they dropped into 3rd place in the table. In fact, they definitely did, because it was the year we came 4th.
Yes.
And I'm not being funny, but people in glass houses, Skulls, it's 1 season. City could go back and win the league next season. It's 1 season out of the last 4, 5 that they've won the league in.
Yeah.
The elite there's that many elite clubs at the top end. Only one can win. This year it's going to be Liverpool. Next year it could be City, could be Arsenal, could be Chelsea, could be who knows. That's the nature of competition. It'd be dull if the same team won every year. And I think, to put a bit of perspective on it again, I think City fans, if you come in the Champions League place, if you win the FA Cup, you should be happy. Not overjoyed, but happy. Because you know what? There are so many clubs, so many fans in this country that would kill to finish in the Champions League places and win the FA Cup. Look at the scenes that Newcastle United produced. Their first major trophy since 1969, their first domestic major trophy since 1955. 60, 70 years. I would love to see the likes of Man United, whoever, go 70 years without a trophy.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, because you don't know the meaning of struggling.
Exactly.
And I know it's easy for me to say as a fan of a Premier League club, it's easy for me to say Newcastle winning their first major trophy, hey, look, all the success they've had being in the Premier League and being in Europe compared to, Rochdale and Tranmere and whoever. But obviously it's all relative, but come on. There's only so many trophies available each season.
You mentioned this on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because it really wound me up. People were mocking, it's only the Carabao Cup. Oh, this is, well, why are they... Sorry, and this guy was I saw something from an Arsenal fan. And I'm like, you're an Arsenal fan? You've not won anything since COVID 5 years ago.
Wow. Has it been that long? Wow.
The 2020 FA Cup and COVID, I'm sure. The Charity Shield, if we're being technical.
Well,
fair
yeah,
enough.
I know where you're going from.
But, I'm not being funny. If Arsenal didn't win anything for 70 years, well, that guy wouldn't be supporting them in the first place. He'd bugger off and be a Chelsea fan or a Liverpool fan or something. It's like... It's that entitlement and that arrogance of almost that only 2 trophies matter anymore. Literally, the Champions League and Premier League are the only ones that matter.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, because there's a load of clubs out there who would kill to win the League Cup. I'd be still drunk now. I can't even drink at the moment, and I'd be still drunk now if we won the League Cup the other week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
As I'm sure you would, as I'm sure most fans would.
Oh yeah.
It's this select few clubs that are this real entitled. They don't know what it is to not win, and it actually upsets them when they don't win. It's that Real Madrid syndrome, and we expect to win everything every year, and it upsets us when we don't, and we get up, we get pissed off when we don't win. I can't imagine living in a world where you expect success, and success can't be that. You can't take joy out of it because it's we just expect it, and that it actually is a detriment to you when you don't have that success. Success is a joy. It is a privilege. It is not a right. It is not an entitlement in any walk of life.
Absolutely.
And this is, I know I've gone on a massive rant.
No, it's good.
But it's the Scholes. That's that thing about Scholes sort of sneering on. It's not very good. If you win, sorry, what have United won this season?
I can sort of.
I'm sorry.
I can understand what he's saying. I can understand what he's saying because it's in the recent calibre of Man City, talking trebles and titles and Champions League. So Scholes is saying, statistically, you've won the you could win. They haven't actually won it. Let's put it that way.
They're in the
top four. Last four. They're in the last four. And even looking at that last four, Crystal Palace, which I never knew this, have never won anything.
Never won any major trophies. They won the Zenit Beta Systems Cup, which was like the replacement cup for clubs in Europe in the late 80s, because obviously English clubs went in Europe in the late 80s. But they've never won a major trophy, Crystal Palace.
That shocked me as well, that one.
No, I did know that, but them, Fulham, Brighton, Bournemouth, and the last 8 have never won a major trophy. Fulham never won a major trophy, no.
Did they?
Never.
Wow.
No, never.
Did they not win the old League One to go into the Premier League?
Yeah, it's not a major trophy, that's the Championship, second division.
Oh, sorry, right.
Otherwise, Newcastle have won the second division various times in the last 70 years. Major trophies, but it's a difficult one because obviously, yes, you've got lower division trophies, like, a lot of clubs have won from being the lower divisions.
Yeah.
Like the league titles or playoffs and that. Yeah. But in terms of major trophies, League, FA Cup, League Cup,
that's the 3, 4.
Those kind of competitions.
Yeah.
Fulham, no, they got the Europa League final in 2010.
That was outrageous.
And they did, I think, quote unquote, win the Intertoto Cup.
I remember that.
Which is not a trophy. It was a certificate that you got.
No.
If you got, it was literally, I think Newcastle 2006, there's a picture of Scott Parker somewhere with what I think was like a plaque or a certificate or something framed. I don't know quite. Where literally the Intertoto Cup was a competition that you applied for. Oh. It was a qualification process for the UEFA Cup.
I remember.
And the team that then got the furthest in the UEFA Cup got this little plaque or something. Not a major trophy. Not having it. It was a qualification phase for the UEFA Cup.
I'm going to have to get into Intertoto Cup. There you go.
But Fulham definitely went. Bradford were in it one year. Bradford applied to go in it one year and played Zenit St. Petersburg in about 2000.
It was a certificate. It looks like a small maraca.
Oh, there was a little version of that as well, yeah.
That's
right.
That's mental. Oh, there you go.
I'm sure there was a picture of Scott Parker in about 2006 at Newcastle. I could be wrong.
My word, it looks like a small maraca.
There was that. Oh, yeah, there was that awful, like, it looks like some player, like, it looks like what you'd win if you were top goal scorer at Confederations Cup or something.
Oh, no, hang on. Yes, somebody has got a... Yes, Scott Parker has a certificate type of thing there.
Yeah, that is unreal levels of tin pottery. So you cannot tell me the Intertoto Cup was a real trophy.
No. I like that.
It's so tin pot. So yeah, but yes, Fulham did win, quote unquote, the Intertoto. I think 4 teams won it the same year. You can't have 4 teams win the same time.
That's ridiculous. Yeah,
that's not having that.
You can have in a certificate form. I'm happy to call it a certificate now.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Intertoto certificate.
I think we draw the line. This is a good. We can have another 2 minutes, I think, on the pod. But that's great time to end the podcast on. That is not a trophy. That is a certificate.
Yeah. We have gone on about teams that never won a major trophy and argued why the Intertoto Cup is actually.
It's like going to the dentist as a kid and getting a sticker. No, maybe not. Is it?
Maybe not.
I don't know what
it's a bit like school sports day.
Is it like Employee of the Week month? I don't know. You got us. No,
we don't have that.
We don't. No, we don't have that. No. I don't know what you could put it.
It's a bit like school sports day where everyone gets, which is nice because kids deserve. Yeah, it's fine, but everyone gets it, and it's like if 4 teams win the same thing, the same cup.
That's what I was trying to get at. If there's so many teams winning it in one season.
It's almost like WWE. There's like 4 world champions now in there.
It's ridiculous.
No, I'm not even talking about the Intercontinental in the US. I'm talking about just various world titles like NXT and World Heavyweight, and Super Heavyweight, and Speed. I don't know. I don't know anymore. There's too many world champions. There can't be that many world champions.
Oh, Harrogate 3, Tranmere 2.
Oh, bloody awesome game.
2 minutes to go. Patrick has scored for Tranmere.
Yeah, Murray Patrick. Yeah.
Taylor, Kersons and Fox for Harrogate Town.
Right.
That looks like a hell of a... It's picked up there. Lots of yellow cards. 4 in the space of whatever that is. 15 minutes. Dale is still winning 1-0. Arsenal are winning 2-0 at Fulham. Saka has returned and scored. I like Saka.
How's he now?
I like Saka. Fair play to him. Fair play to him. Yes, Wolves are still winning 1-0. Forest is still beating Man United 1-0. So that's surely. Well, at what point? This is what we can end the podcast on. I think.
Okay.
At what point have Forest guaranteed European football?
When they win the FA Cup? No, no, I don't know. It can't
it's
be
10 points.
Now.
It's 10 points to Newcastle. Oh, Newcastle got 2 games in hand though.
But Newcastle are already in Europe.
Oh, so what happens there?
Newcastle have got guaranteed Conference League by virtue of winning the League Cup.
Yeah.
Regardless of where they finish, they could tank it and finish 15th, which they won't. But so the way I see it at the moment, that right, you've really opened the kind of worms. Just to finish here, Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. This is how I interpret it. I could be wrong. At the moment, the top 5 will make Champions League because of the weird new UEFA coefficient thing, whereby the top 2 performing leagues in Europe that season, i.e. in this instance, it's going to be England and Spain, I think, because they've had the clubs that perform the best across Champions League, Europa League, Conference League.
Interesting.
So you're going to have England and Spain will get probably, I reckon, 5 Champions League spots. So the top 5, rather than 4, will get Champions League, therefore opening up 6th and 7th to get Europa League.
Wow.
And obviously Newcastle currently in 6th, get the Conference League.
Oh.
If they finish 6th, then they will probably get in Europa League by virtue of finishing 6th, which means 8 could get Conference League. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. However, who's in the Europa League? Tottenham and Man United.
Oh.
If one of them win it, they go into the Champions League.
Just never,
so then that
ends.
That might then open. You could get. I think there was something the other day where seemingly, I think, down to 11th place could in theory get Europe next season.
Fudge cake.
Depending on various permutations. Obviously, if Chelsea win the Conference League, they qualify for the Europa League. But if they finish in the Champions League places, then someone else needs that Europa League place. And
man,
you see why I didn't want to do this.
No, I am so sorry.
I'm almost convinced if we win a couple of games, we're pushing for Europe ourselves, and we're shite. So
you're not out the question though. There,
the only chance we're getting Europe is Club 18 to 30 to Benidorm at this rate, buddy. But
a sail on, and
even then, half the squad
beach
aren't getting in because they're too old. But
yeah, brilliant, fantastic.
Right,
I think we'll end
it. Yeah, me head hurts now. So can we go?
Let's do that.
Right. Okay. Well, if you made it this far, everyone, thank you very much for listening. All I can say is please do follow, like, and subscribe on our various platforms, i.e. Facebook, X, Instagram. Do we have any others?
YouTube.
Do we have
We're on
YouTube?
So what happens is the audio from Spotify goes direct to YouTube, but it's no video. Okay. It's just the still. I
was going to say I didn't set for us to record the video on this.
No, it's fine.
I think that
no. It's just the icon. It's just our logo icon and the audio. But we get a few people on there. We get about 8 views.
Okay, well, so those 8 of you, we salute you. You are troopers. I didn't even know we had a YouTube channel, so you know more than I do. Fair enough. So yeah, please follow us on the socials. Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasting from, and all good podcast networks, and some rubbish ones as well. And just remember, whether, you know what, I haven't got to sign out now, whether your team makes it in Europe or not by finishing 12th in the league and with a -3 goal difference, just remember, it's only a game. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, everybody. Whether you're winning 1-0, 5-0, 2-0, or conceding in the 90th minute like Rochdale have just done to make it 1-1. Woking.
We're going to have to extend the podcast.
Woking. No, Woking. Absolute woke as anything. 1-1. 87 minutes, sorry, but Jesus.
It's not that bad. I mean, you were just naming scorelines, mate, and then you were just wrapping up scorelines, and you just got fuming for a second.
I did.
It was like number one, and all of a sudden you're like, where I bet it?
Oof, we've gone down a place. But yeah, whether you're conceding with 3 minutes to go, as Jimmy's just mentioned, it is only a game. Thank you all very much for listening.
Bye, everyone.
And we will be back hopefully next month or soon.
Yeah, we'll do something next month.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.